What if you could collapse time? What if the future you desire already exists, and the only thing keeping it away is your current frequency? This isn't fantasy. This is quantum manifestation, where thought becomes reality, where identity bends light, and where you don't chase your dreams. You tune into them. Because the universe isn't testing you, it's mirroring you. Introduction. The field of infinite now. In the silence beyond logic, beyond fear, doubt, and limitation, there is a space, a quantum field. It is not bound by time. It does not operate by effort. It is pure potential, humming with the frequencies of all realities, already done, already formed, already here. And you are not a beggar before this field. You are its key. Welcome to quantum manifestation. Not a method, not a technique, but a remembrance, a return to your native truth, that you are the observer collapsing the wave into form, the chooser of timelines, the voice that the universe obeys. This audiobook is not just something to hear, it is something to become. Each chapter is a frequency, each word is a code, each practice is a portal into the now where your future is already alive. This is not positive thinking. This is quantum alignment, not visualization, vibration. Not asking, embodying. You will not learn to force the universe. You will remember how to merge with it. And as you do, time will shrink. Doubt will dissolve. And your desires will not arrive. They will be revealed as reflections of your innermost certainty. This is your invitation. To let go of logic, to surrender control, and to remember, you are not here to predict the future. You are here to choose it. Now we begin. Chapter 1. The observer collapses the wave. In the quantum world, nothing is fixed. Nothing is final. Particles flicker in and out of existence. Realities swirl as probabilities. And the one thing that turns the wave into matter, the only force that collapses infinite outcomes into one physical experience, is the observer. You are the observer. You are the chooser. You are the decider of form. This is not metaphor. This is physics. Quantum mechanics reveals that particles exist in a state of superposition, holding multiple realities simultaneously, until an observer focuses on one, thereby causing it to materialize. The wave becomes a particle. The dream becomes matter. The possibility becomes reality, not randomly, but through conscious attention. So let us take this deeper. Your life is a quantum field. Every desire you've ever had, it exists as a potential. Every version of you, already encoded in the field. We do not need to create these things. We only need to tune into them. This is the art of quantum manifestation. To stop trying to make things happen and start aligning with the version of you in whom it already has. But how do we observe the right timeline? How do we collapse the wave of fear, lack, or confusion and stabilize the frequency of abundance, love, and certainty? It begins with identity, not thought, not emotion, but who you are being. Because the universe does not respond to what you want. It responds to what you are. Imagine tuning a radio. The music already exists. You're not creating the sound. You're aligning the dial to the frequency. When you find it, it plays effortlessly. The same applies to your manifestation. When your identity is aligned with the reality you seek, manifestation is not effort, it is inevitability. So ask yourself, what frequency am I broadcasting through my state of being? Is it, I hope I get there someday? Or is it, I already am the one who has? The first delays time. The second collapses it. Let me tell you a story. There was a woman named Lyra. For years, she tried to attract abundance. She repeated affirmations, made vision boards, lit candles under full moons, but nothing seemed to change. She was still living paycheck to paycheck, feeling like the universe had missed her call. Until one night, exhausted and at the end of her trying, she asked herself, not, how do I get more money, but who would I be if I already had it? And she realized she would move differently. She would walk into rooms with certainty. She would no longer tolerate scarcity stories. She wouldn't chase, she would expect. So she decided, right then and there, to become that version of herself. Not next week, not after the check cleared. Now, she started dressing with more power. She began tipping generously, even when it scared her. She showed up to her small business like it was already a global brand. Within weeks, clients began pouring in. Opportunities arrived. The money flowed, not because she had figured it out, but because she had tuned in. She became the observer who collapsed a new timeline into being. This is what it means to live quantum. To stop waiting for reality to shift before you feel secure, and to instead anchor your security from within, knowing that your inner state dictates what appears. Your thoughts are the signal. Your emotions are the amplifier. Your identity is the stabilizer. Together, they collapse the field. Not once, not occasionally, every single moment. So choose now, not to wait, but to become. Practice collapsing the wave. Close your eyes. Feel into a version of you where your desire is already real. What are you wearing? How are you breathing? How do you speak, move, and make decisions? Now. Be that now, just for today. Observe yourself as already there, because the moment you do, the wave collapses, and the universe echoes back, yes, so it is. Chapter 2. Embodiment before evidence. In the world of matter, you are taught to wait. Wait until you see proof. Wait until the conditions are right. Wait until you have the money, the relationship, the external validation. Then, and only then, are you allowed to feel successful, wealthy, in love, fulfilled. But in the quantum world, waiting is the very energy that delays the arrival. The field doesn't respond to your calendar, it responds to your current, your vibration, your inner stance. And here lies the sacred paradox. Manifestation is not a result of evidence, it's a result of embodiment before evidence. To manifest what you desire, you must become the person who already has it, not after the proof shows up, but before. Because in quantum reality, the causality is reversed. Feeling first, form second. So many seekers find themselves stuck because they are constantly looking for signs. They ask, where is it? Why hasn't it come yet? Not realizing that the very energy of asking, where is it, assumes it is not here. And so the field, in its perfect obedience, mirrors back, not here. This is not punishment, it is precision. The quantum field is loyal, exact, and emotionally responsive. It does not respond to your words, it responds to your state. Imagine a mirror. You stand before it and frown, demanding it to reflect a smile before you decide to smile. But that is not how the mirror works. You must smile first, and then the mirror changes. Life is no different. It reflects you, not the other way around. Embodiment is not pretending. It is not delusion. It is the most powerful form of truth alignment you can access. You are not faking a new version of yourself. You are finally stepping into it. not from wishful thinking, but from divine recognition. Let me share a story. A man named Idris worked in a cold gray cubicle, punching numbers into spreadsheets, dreaming of painting the ocean and making art for a living. Every morning he felt the ache in his soul, the tug of unlived destiny, but he waited. One day, he told himself, "When I save enough, when I retire, when it's safe." One day stretched into 5 years, and still the canvas stayed blank. Then one winter evening, Idris stood in front of a blank canvas in his tiny apartment and asked himself, "What if I never become the artist I'm waiting to be? What if I simply begin to be him now?" Something in him shifted. That night, he painted for hours. Not to make money, not to be seen, but to embody the reality his soul already knew. The next week, he wore colors to work. He started talking about art like it was already his career. And without trying, opportunities appeared. An invitation to showcase, a buyer from overseas, a mentorship with a gallery owner. It wasn't magic, it was physics. He had changed his signal, and the universe responded with precision. Embodiment is magnetic. It collapses time. It shortcuts process. It rewires the subconscious to accept the new self as normal. And once your inner world normalizes your desire, the outer world has no choice but to follow. This is not a mindset game. This is identity. This is frequency. This is quantum law. And this is your permission to feel it now. The mistake most make is trying to manifest from lack. I want more money because I don't have enough. I want love because I'm alone. I want success because I feel like a failure. But lack cannot attract abundance. Need cannot call forth fulfillment. In the quantum realm, like attracts like. So you must shift from wanting to having, from hoping to being, from separation to oneness with what you seek. Start small if you must. Ask, if I already had the thing I desire, how would I walk into a room? How would I breathe? How would I treat others? How would I speak to myself in the mirror? These are not imaginary games. These are energetic initiations, and they carry immense weight in the unseen. You are not here to hustle your way into a better life. You are here to remember yourself into it. The universe is already coded to reflect your truest frequency, not the one you inherited, not the one society sold you, but the one you choose in each eternal now. The future is not ahead of you. It is vibrating at a different level of now. An embodiment is how you step into it, not through force, not through effort, but through remembrance. So I ask you now, what would it feel like to stop waiting? To breathe as if you are already the person your desires require you to be? To wake up and dress, move, speak, and rest as if the quantum field has already delivered and you are just receiving what's yours? That is not pretending. That is claiming. That is quantum manifestation. AG, sacred practice. Embodiment ritual. Right now, take a breath. Place your hand on your heart. Close your eyes. Imagine your desired reality, not as something you're wishing for, but as something you are living inside. How do you feel? What thoughts run through your mind? What energy radiates from your chest? Hold it. Stay there. Now, embody it. Let your shoulders lift. Let your spine lengthen. Let your voice deepen. Let your energy lead. And for the rest of the day, move as if it's already done. Because in the quantum world, it is. Chapter 3. The Observer's Power. You are the collapse. There is a sacred truth whispered in the heart of quantum reality. One that rewrites everything you've ever been told about cause and effect, about what is real and what is imagined, about how your world takes shape. It is this: The observer is not passive. The observer is the creator. In the quantum field, nothing exists in fixed form until it is observed, until your awareness gives it focus. Possibility exists in infinite waves. And then, with one glance of belief, one gaze of attention, the wave collapses into a particle, into reality, into now. And the most astonishing part? You are the observer. You are the collapse. The world does not move independently of you. It responds to you, constantly shifting, morphing, and solidifying based on your most consistent assumptions. This is not poetry. This is physics. Quantum mechanics has shown us that at the subatomic level, particles behave differently depending on whether they are being watched. The act of observation, of conscious attention, alters the outcome. This isn't theory, it is proven. And if the very fabric of reality responds to being watched, then imagine what your life is doing under the gaze of your expectations. You think you're waiting to see what will happen. But what you are seeing is happening because of you. You are not watching a movie unfold. You are projecting the real. You are not looking through a window at reality. You are holding the brush that paints it in real time. But most people have forgotten. They've surrendered the power of their gaze to the loudest narrative, the oldest wound, the most repeated thought. They observe through the eyes of their past, and so they collapse the past into their future. And then they wonder why nothing changes. Let me tell you a story. A woman named Ilara had a long history of being overlooked in love. Every relationship ended with her being abandoned or ignored. She came to believe, I am invisible, and this belief became her lens. She didn't realize that with every new date, every interaction, she was not just observing the person in front of her, she was projecting her expectation. She was bracing for rejection. And so the men she met, even those with kind intentions, would slowly begin to mirror her belief, not because they were cruel, but because the field must comply with the observer. Ilara was not watching reality unfold. She was commanding it, unconsciously. It wasn't until she began to observe herself differently, to assume even without proof that she was seen, chosen, worthy, that her experiences began to match the new gaze. A man walked into her life and stayed, not because he was different, but because she was. This is what it means to manifest from the quantum level. It is not about forcing things to happen. It is about choosing what you will see internally, until that vision becomes more dominant than anything external. The world has trained you to wait for proof, but the quantum law says proof waits for you. You do not manifest through desperation. You manifest through certainty, through knowing that your gaze holds the brush that paints reality into being. When you focus on lack, you collapse reality into more lack. When you focus on fear, the wave becomes a particle of fear. But when you turn your attention toward your highest vision, hold it with reverence, feel it as already done, then the universe collapses into alignment with that. The wave of infinite possibility becomes your specific desire, and it cannot help but become real because it has no choice but to obey the observer. You may ask, how do I observe rightly? How do I shift my gaze when the world in front of me looks so opposite of what I desire? The answer is stillness. It is inner vision. It is choosing to close your eyes to what is and open them to what could be. You must become fluent in the unseen. You must trust that your inner reality holds more creative weight than the outer world. That your observation is not passive. That your attention is sacred. Everything begins with what you notice. Do you wake up and observe what's wrong, what's missing, what you fear? Or do you wake up and assign meaning, Project love, assume the best, bless what you do not yet understand. One choice continues the past, the other invokes the new. The observer's power is not in watching, but in choosing what to see. You don't have to control everything. You only need to focus the lens of your consciousness. Choose the meaning. Choose the version of you that exists in abundance, in love, in power, and stare at that reality until it collapses into form. And when doubt whispers, "It's not working," remember, that's just another wave you're collapsing. Shift the gaze. Refocus the lens. The field is listening. You are not stuck. You are just staring at what you no longer want and wondering why it won't leave. But now you know the truth. The quantum field has no will of its own. It waits for you to decide. Not through begging, but through being. You are the observer. You are the collapse. You are the law. Sacred practice. Shift the gaze. Close your eyes and take a deep breath. Picture your current reality as a wave, fluid, flexible, unformed. Now, ask yourself, what am I choosing to observe? Is it worry, lack, doubt? Or is it joy, ease, certainty? Now shift. In your mind, zoom in on the version of your life you most desire. Not as a fantasy, but as a focus. Feel it. Observe it with love, with no doubt, with full belief. And now say quietly within, I am the observer. I choose what becomes. Hold that gaze. Let it become real. Then, open your eyes, bringing that new vision into the world. Because the world has no choice, it must now become what you've seen. Chapter 4. Vibration before evidence. Becoming the frequency. You have been taught to wait for signs, to wait for confirmation, to wait until the money shows up, until the lover stays, until the opportunity knocks loud enough to make your doubt disappear. But the quantum truth is not born of waiting. The quantum truth is this: you must become the vibration first, and let the world rise to meet you. The field does not respond to your words, your effort, or your hopes. It responds to your frequency. And frequency is not something you say, it is something you embody. It is the invisible signature of your dominant emotion, your most repeated belief, your truest internal state. That state is what the universe reads like a sacred code, and it builds your world in its image. Let me tell you something ancient, etched into the design of creation. You are not a beggar of blessings. You are the broadcaster of destiny. You do not need to plead for what is already yours. You need only become the version of you who no longer questions whether it will come. In the quantum field, every possibility already exists. Every timeline, every version of your life, wealthy, free, in love, healed, is available, vibrating right now. But you do not align with that reality by asking for it over and over. You align by matching its tone, by becoming its equal. Imagine a radio dial. Your dream reality is playing clearly on 97.7, but you're vibrating at 88.3. No matter how loud you ask, you can't hear the music. But when you shift your dial, when your thoughts, feelings, and state rise to match the frequency, it's no longer a dream. It's a broadcast, and you are tuned in. This is not metaphor. This is mechanism. You are an electromagnetic being in constant dialogue with the field. And that dialogue is not in words, it's in waves. You attract not what you chase, but what you are. Let me offer you a story. There was a man named Jalen who had struggled for years to manifest financial abundance. He wrote his affirmations every day. He visualized checks in the mail. He tried to act as if, but nothing changed. Because underneath the words, he still felt like someone trying to escape poverty. He still woke up worried. He still carried the frequency of fear, of lack, of not enough. He was tuned to 88.3 but begging for 97.7. One day, after years of exhaustion, he let go. He stopped chasing and started changing his frequency. Not his habits, his energy. He began to act from the feeling of someone already wealthy, not by spending recklessly, but by embodying certainty. He walked slower, breathed deeper, complimented others' success instead of resenting it. He started appreciating money in all forms. Even a free coffee felt like divine provision. And slowly, reality caught up. A friend offered him a job he never applied for. An investment he'd forgotten about doubled. His reality began to shimmer with alignment, not because he tried harder, but because he tuned differently. Vibration does not lie. The universe does not respond to what you pretend to be. It responds to what you are broadcasting beneath the surface, and you are broadcasting all the time, whether consciously or not. That's why you must choose your state with intention. You don't need to fake joy, but you do need to stop rehearsing suffering. You don't need to deny reality, but you must stop anchoring your identity in the evidence you don't want, because reality is a reflection, not a ruler. And reflections do not lead, they follow. So how do you change your vibration? You shift your inner posture. You soften your resistance. You embody trust even when the bank account says otherwise. You speak the language of the timeline you desire. You let your nervous system rest in the reality of already done. You become still enough to feel what abundance feels like before it shows up. You play with the frequency of fulfillment without demanding its immediate appearance. Because your patience is not waiting, it's confirmation. When you no longer chase, the field knows you've received. It's not about being happy all the time. It's about being resonant. If you want love, become loving. If you want peace, become peaceful, not to earn it, but to match it. You are not being tested. You are being tuned. And the test is only this. Will you trust the vibration before the evidence? Will you become the version of yourself who is no longer grasping for proof? The truth is, you are always becoming something. Every thought is tuning you. Every emotion is calling in its match. Every moment is an invitation to align or resist. So ask yourself, not what do I want, but who must I be to live that reality? What is the version of you who already has it feeling right now? Calm, certain, unbothered? Can you find that feeling now, not as a trick, but as a truth? Because when you do, the field has no choice. It rearranges, it calibrates, it responds with unwavering obedience. You may not see it instantly, but that is not the measure. The evidence is delayed only by your doubt. It is not absence. It is alignment in progress. And if you can hold the tone, even in silence, even in uncertainty, then all that you've asked for will begin to arrive, not as a reward, but as a match. You are not a victim of conditions. You are a generator of conditions. The world does not create your vibration. Your vibration creates your world. So rise now, not in force, but in frequency. Choose a better song. Hum the melody of the life you wish to live, and let the field echo it back in form. You are not here to wait. You are here to become. Sacred practice. Tune your signal. Close your eyes. Place your hand over your heart. Breathe in through your nose and exhale through your mouth. Ask yourself gently, what is the feeling of my desired life? Don't name the things. Name the feeling. Is it peace, power, joy, certainty? Now, feel that emotion, not as a fantasy, but as a memory. Live in it for just a moment. Let your body memorize the signal. Say quietly, I become the vibration before the evidence. I am the frequency that life follows. Open your eyes. Carry this tone into the day. Respond to the world as if you are already it. Watch what happens when reality meets your new signal. Chapter 5. The Observer Effect. Reality watches you back. In the stillness between thought and form, there exists a secret. An ancient quantum whisper that physicists have only begun to understand, but mystics have known for ages. It is the observer effect, the truth that reality is not fixed until you look, that the very act of perception alters the outcome, that what you expect with conviction begins to bend the fabric of existence. You are not just inside the universe, wandering its corridors blindly. You are being observed by the field, and in return, it mirrors the lens through which you observe it. This is not metaphor. This is not philosophy. This is quantum law. The moment you look with certainty, life crystallizes around your gaze. It aligns with your assumption. It takes the shape of your dominant attention. You are the sculptor, and your gaze is the chisel. They once conducted a quantum experiment, firing particles through two slits. When unobserved, the particles behaved like waves, infinite in possibility, flowing through both paths simultaneously. But when a conscious observer watched, the wave collapsed into a particle, a single fixed path. The implication shattered what we thought we knew. Reality does not commit until you do. The universe waits for your assumption to decide how to behave. When you believe with conviction, the infinite becomes the specific. The unknown takes form. You are not just part of the equation. You are the equation. Now bring that awareness into your daily life. Every day you wake up and decide, consciously or not, what you're expecting from your life. From your money, from your body, from your relationships. You gaze at your world through the eyes of memory or hope, but the field does not respond to your past, it responds to the tone of your attention. So the question is not, what's real? The question is, what am I making real by observing it with emotion? Because when you expect lack, you collapse the wave of infinite wealth into one particle of not enough. When you expect disappointment, you're not predicting the future, you're instructing it. You are not forecasting outcomes, you are forming them. I once knew a woman named Ilara, a soft-spoken healer, deeply intuitive, but always plagued by financial scarcity. She had the heart of a giver, but the belief of someone unworthy of receiving. She would say things like, "Money always slips through my fingers," or "I don't expect abundance, I just want enough." But the universe doesn't deliver what you just want. It delivers what you are fixated upon. She was observing her life through the lens of limitation, and the field obediently collapsed into more of the same. She thought she was just being realistic, but in truth, she was weaving reality by the patterns of her expectations. One day, she shifted, not because someone taught her better, but because she caught herself in the mirror. Literally. She looked at herself and said, "Why am I creating from my wounds when I could create from my power?" She didn't try to think positive. She changed her observer state. She stopped watching her life like a victim and started witnessing it like a creator. She wrote down how the version of her who felt abundant would see the world, how she would walk into rooms, how she would greet challenges, how she would hold her energy around bills, and she practiced that gaze, not to fake it, but to change the wave she was observing. and the results began to shift. Unexpected payments arrived. Clients returned. She wasn't just manifesting. She was finally allowing reality to mirror back a new identity. You see, your gaze is sacred. What you focus on with intensity becomes permission for reality to appear. This is why fear becomes self-fulfilling. This is why gratitude opens gates. Because what you see with belief becomes the field's instruction. Most people live by watching reality and then reacting. But in the quantum realm, creation happens in reverse. You decide, then the world adjusts. You must become the one who walks, as if your gaze constructs the bridge beneath your feet, because it does. The observer effect is not limited to physics. It is the heartbeat of manifestation. Your life is not happening to you. It's reflecting how you're watching it. This is why you must be mindful of what you keep returning to with your mind. You may think you're just checking in on a problem, but every time you revisit it with fear, you feed it. You energize it. You give it form again and again. Let go of the need to monitor your problems. They are not wildfires to be contained. They are echoes of outdated attention. Shift your gaze, and they lose form. Fix your eyes upon the vision you desire, not with desperation, but with trust, and the field will rearrange to support it. Here is the secret. Most never learn. What you believe about the world is what the world shows you, not because it's true, but because you are the observer. If you walk through life expecting magic, you will meet synchronicities. If you walk expecting betrayal, you will find it, even where none exists. Your assumptions are not passive. They are active forces sculpting probability into pattern. So choose your gaze with intention. Speak your assumptions aloud. Let your inner dialogue become an invitation. Declare, "The universe wants to delight me. Life is eager to support me. Every moment is conspiring for my highest." Then look for evidence, not to prove it true, but to confirm what your soul already knows. If you want to shift your life, do not try to wrestle with outer conditions. Begin where the power lives, in the eye of the beholder. You are the seer, the shaper, the decoder. And the moment you choose to see differently, everything else begins to respond. Sacred practice. Shift the gaze. Sit in stillness. Close your eyes. Imagine the life you long for, not as a fantasy, but as a film. See it unfold. Feel it become real in your imagination. Now become the observer who is watching this film as present tense. Say aloud, "I am the one who sees abundance everywhere. I observe with trust. I expect with power. Reality reflects my gaze." Repeat this for 5 minutes daily. Then carry this inner gaze into every moment. Catch yourself when you return to the old lens, and shift it gently. The field is watching. What shall it become? Chapter 6. Frequencies of Feeling. The universe speaks emotion. There are no neutral moments in the quantum world. Every second, you are broadcasting something. You're not waiting to attract, you're already attracting. The question is not if the law of attraction is working. The question is, what station are you tuned to right now? Just like a radio does not have to try to receive the music. It simply must be on the right frequency. So too must your state of being match what you desire in order for it to appear. Not just the thought, not just the words, but the feeling behind it. Because the universe doesn't speak English or numbers, it speaks vibration, and the carrier of that vibration is emotion. What you consistently feel is what you continuously invite. Your dominant emotional state is your magnetic signature. So many people think, if I can just say the right affirmation or visualize long enough, I'll receive what I want. But saying, I am rich, while feeling lack, is like tuning a radio to static and expecting Mozart. The words don't reach the field. The feeling does. If you affirm wealth from a frequency of desperation, the universe doesn't hear the words. It hears the ache, the absence, the fear. And it echoes that back to you in kind. Not to punish you, but to mirror your signal. The universe is obedient. It is not judging you, it is reflecting you. This is why feeling is the secret, as Neville Goddard once said. The feeling is the frequency. Emotion is not a side effect, it is the command. This is the core truth behind manifestation. If you want a different life, you must cultivate the feeling tone of that life. Now. Not someday. Not when the money arrives or the lover appears. But now. Because only in the now can you shift your vibration. And when you do, everything must follow. Let me tell you a story. There was a man named Jonah who had been trying to manifest success for over a decade. He had vision boards, daily mantras, a collection of manifestation journals stacked to the ceiling. He spoke abundance. He read spiritual books. He did everything right, on paper. But nothing moved. He still worked a job that drained him. He still lived in a small apartment with leaking pipes and overdue bills. One day, while meditating, he asked the universe, "Why is nothing changing?" And in the quiet that followed, he heard not a voice, but a knowing. One sentence that pierced through everything. "Because you still feel like the man who fails." And he wept. Not because he was broken, but because he finally saw the truth. He realized that underneath his rituals and affirmations, he carried an emotional signature of inadequacy. He saw himself as someone striving, not someone receiving, desiring but not deserving, and that was the frequency he lived in. So he did something radical. He stopped chasing results. He stopped trying to manifest. He asked himself, how would I feel if it were already mine? And he began to embody that version of himself. Not just when meditating, but when walking, brushing his teeth, drinking coffee. He practiced the frequency of fulfillment until it became his baseline. And in 6 months, without chasing, life rearranged itself. He was offered a job doing what he loved. His living space improved. Opportunities found him, not because he repeated a spell, but because he finally became a match. You see, the quantum field doesn't respond to what you want. It responds to who you are being, and who you are being is determined by how you feel most of the time. This doesn't mean you can never feel low or sad or human, but it means that your dominant emotional tone becomes your calling card. So ask yourself, what frequency do I live on? Is it a frequency of hope or fear? Trust or doubt? Joy or resentment? Because the field does not bring you what you hope for. It brings you what you embody. Feeling is the fast lane of manifestation. It bypasses logic. It overrides thought. You may not always believe a new affirmation, but you can begin to feel its energy. You can close your eyes and imagine being in the scene of your fulfilled desire and feel the gratitude of having it now. And when you do, the gap begins to close. The illusion of time collapses, because in that moment, you're no longer waiting, you are being. And the universe responds with precision to that state. Your emotions are not weaknesses to manage. They are guides to alignment. When you feel joy, it means you are on the beam of your desire. When you feel heaviness, it means you are resisting what's trying to come through. Don't judge your feelings, use them. Tune into what your body and soul are saying. If you feel unworthy, Don't suppress it. Pause, breathe, and gently choose a better feeling thought. One that says, even now I am learning, even here I am loved. Build the ladder back up to the frequency of belief, of worth, of receiving. Do not wait for the evidence. The evidence waits for you. Here's the truth. When you feel as though your manifestation is already yours, you close the gap between desire and reality. And when you feel like it's missing, you stretch that gap indefinitely. So the only real work is not in the outside world, it is in cultivating the emotional atmosphere within you. Make joy your home. Make gratitude your heartbeat. Make peace your foundation. And you'll watch reality shape itself to match that music. Sacred practice, emotional frequency calibration. Today, take a moment to pause. Close your eyes and ask, what am I feeling right now? Don't judge, just notice. Then, ask yourself, what would I feel if everything I desired had already arrived? Let that feeling flood your system. Amplify it, stretch it, hold it like a precious sound. Repeat the feeling throughout your day, not to get something, but to become something. And as you do, remember, emotion is the language of the universe. Speak it fluently, and it will write your future with grace. Chapter 7. You must become it before you see it. You were never meant to chase your desires. You were meant to become them, to clothe yourself in their frequency, to speak their language without hesitation, to move as if what you seek is already yours, not in fantasy, but in identity. Because the quantum field is not moved by effort, by struggle, or by forced action, it is moved by congruence. And nothing is more magnetic than a being who has remembered who they are and is no longer pretending to be anything less. This is where most get lost. They think manifestation is something they do when it's actually something they are. You can visualize all you want, repeat affirmations daily, and script your future endlessly. But if the core identity you hold is still rooted in lack, in fear, in the belief that you are unworthy or separate from your desire, the field must mirror that identity, not your rituals, but your root. Reality does not respond to what you want. It responds to what you believe you already are. This is the great paradox. The shift doesn't happen when the outer world changes. The outer world changes because the shift already occurred within. Let me tell you a story. A woman named Clara lived her life constantly seeking love. She tried dating apps, read relationship books, did healing meditations, and made vision boards of her dream partner. And still, she remained alone. She told herself she was manifesting love, but deep inside, she still felt like the woman who was always chosen last. She identified as unlovable, even as she tried to attract love. It was as if her desire and her identity were in conflict. One night, after another disappointing date, she sat in silence and asked herself not what she wanted, but who she believed she was. The answer was sobering. I am someone who is always left behind. And in that moment, she realized why nothing had shifted. Her manifestations were not failing. They were succeeding, perfectly reflecting her identity. From that day forward, she no longer focused on attracting a partner. She focused on becoming the version of herself who was already deeply loved. She dressed the way she would if she were in love. She spoke to herself as if she were already chosen. She walked with a soft joy. She honored her body, her time, and her energy as if someone precious were already holding her heart. And, in less than 3 months, love found her, not because she begged for it, but because she had finally become the version of herself who no longer needed to beg. This is how it works. You don't become worthy when it arrives. It arrives because you decided to become worthy first. This is not about faking it. It's about redefining what is true for you. Because in the quantum field, there is no objective time, only resonance. And when you are the frequency, you collapse time. So the real question is not, how do I get what I want? The question is, who must I become to naturally live that reality? Not temporarily, not on weekends, but completely. If you want to manifest wealth, stop seeing yourself as someone trying to get rich. Become the one who already is abundant. Ask yourself, how does that version of me think? What do they tolerate? How do they speak? How do they rest? How do they love? And begin to integrate that version today. Identity is the gateway. It is the filter through which all possibilities collapse into form. When you shift who you believe yourself to be, the universe rearranges itself to match you. Because it's not personal, it's mechanical, it's alignment. A poor man who feels rich will begin to generate wealth. A lonely soul who embodies love will begin to attract companionship. A victim who reclaims their power will begin to experience miracles, not by waiting, but by becoming. You don't need more effort, you need more embodiment. This is the secret the ancient mystics knew. Jesus said, "Believe that you have received, and it will be yours." Not hope, not try. Believe it now. That's identity. That's the internal shift that changes everything. And yet, it's also the hardest thing for the mind to accept, because the ego wants to protect your old identity. It whispers, "Stay small, stay safe. At least this version of you is familiar." But that comfort comes at the cost of your expansion, so you must decide. Will you let the past define who you are now? Or will you boldly become the version of yourself that your soul came here to be? This is not a game of pretending. It's a sacred act of remembrance. The version of you that already has the life you desire exists. In the quantum field, all versions exist simultaneously. Your work is not to build that version, but to choose it, to step into it, to let go of everything that contradicts it. This is not done through willpower. It's done through alignment, through daily, gentle, conscious embodiment of your highest self. Not perfectly, but consistently. And the more you live as that version, the faster the world reflects it back to you. So today, begin the inner shift. You don't need evidence to become. You just need intention. Show up as the version of you who already knows their worth. Dress like them. Walk like them. Think like them. Speak to others as they would. Take actions from their frequency. And soon you will not just be manifesting, you will be living your manifestation. Because you are not here to chase. You are here to become. Sacred practice. Embodiment mirror. Tonight, stand before a mirror and look into your own eyes, not with judgment, but with curiosity. Ask yourself, who am I being today? Then ask, who must I become to live the life I dream of? Close your eyes and visualize that version of you. See them clearly. Feel their essence. Then open your eyes and speak from that version. Say aloud, I am the one who already has it. Begin to walk through your evening as them. This is not imagination, it is activation. Chapter 8. The reality is moving even when you can't see it. It is perhaps the greatest test in manifestation, the silence that comes after the shift. When you've changed your thoughts, tuned your frequency, walked in your new identity, and yet the outer world still looks the same, you begin to doubt. You wonder if you're deluding yourself. You question the whole journey. And yet, this very moment, is where the real magic begins. Because the quantum realm doesn't reveal its movements on command. It obeys resonance, not impatience. And what you cannot see is still unfolding. The greatest illusion is that nothing is happening, but reality, true reality, is not built in the visible, it is born in the unseen. When a tree begins to sprout, its roots stretch silently, deeply, underground, for days, weeks, before a single leaf pierces the soil. The desert remains dry before the rain. The butterfly forms in darkness before breaking the shell. So why do you assume that your shift must immediately appear on the surface? In the quantum field, time is not a delay, it is a filter. A space to see if you will hold the vibration before the reward. A test, not from the universe, but from yourself. Will you stay in alignment even when the evidence hasn't shown up yet? Will you walk by faith, not by sight? This is the sacred void, the holy pause between the asking and the receiving. And this space is not empty, it is rich with rearrangement. While you wait, the universe is moving people, paths, synchronicities, and timelines. It is shifting variables you cannot calculate. It is preparing a reality so aligned that you'll later say, "It happened better than I imagined." But that level of orchestration requires surrender. Let me tell you a story. There was a man named Elias who had long struggled financially. After years of hardship, he began changing his inner story. He visualized daily. He rewrote his beliefs. He practiced gratitude. He acted as if prosperity were already his. For months, nothing shifted on the outside. His bank account still echoed with lack. Friends mocked his woo-woo practices, but he kept going. Because inside, something was already different. He no longer felt poor. One day, out of the blue, he got a message from an old college friend offering him a consulting project. That single call led to a contract, which led to referrals, which led to a six-figure business within a year. People called it luck, but Elias knew that phone call was not the beginning. It was the visible result of 6 months of unseen alignment. The world just finally caught up to the man he had already become. You see, reality has inertia. Just like a train that takes time to change direction, your external world needs time to realign with the new signal you're broadcasting. That doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're building momentum in silence. Most people give up in this invisible phase. They let their senses override their knowing. They go back to doubt, back to fear, back to the old self, because they mistake the stillness for failure. But the stillness is sacred. It is the final gate. If you can walk through it without flinching, if you can trust what you cannot yet see, you'll collapse timelines and speed up the manifestation. So, how do you stay in alignment during the void? You celebrate as if it's already done. You walk as if it's arriving tomorrow. You create joy now. Because joy is not a reward, it's a magnet. Gratitude is not for what has happened. It's a code that tells the universe you already have it. And when the universe sees that you are being the vibration without needing the proof, it says, "Now they're ready." This is the difference between forcing and allowing. Forcing says, "I need it to show up so I can feel secure." Allowing says, "I already am secure, so it will show up." One delays, the other invites. And don't be fooled by surface stillness. Reality is a layered mirror. Even when nothing shifts on the outside, the gears are turning underneath. People are having thoughts about you. Opportunities are being whispered into motion. Energy is recalibrating. The more you trust, the more you accelerate the unseen choreography. And soon, the surface must respond. You don't water a seed and dig it up every day to check on it. You water it, you wait, you know it will grow. So it is with your manifestations. Stop watching the pot, start living the life. Because when you let go of the when, the how finds its way to you. There is a part of you that already knows this, the deep knowing self, the one who is not bound by time or appearances. Listen to that self. Let them lead. They will walk you through the desert with water still in your hands. In the stillness, you are not alone. You are in the womb of creation. Everything is growing, even when you don't yet see it. So celebrate it. Love your life today. Be the frequency now. And watch the field catch up. Because in truth, the moment you shifted your inner world, it was already yours. Sacred practice, the void walk. Tonight, light a single candle. Sit in silence. Close your eyes and imagine your reality already rearranged. See yourself living the manifestation fully. Now, hold that feeling without needing proof. Whisper aloud, even now it's already done. Sit in that energy for 5 minutes. Then, get up and carry that frequency into something ordinary. Washing dishes, brushing your teeth, walking outside. This is how you teach the universe that you are ready, by living as if it's done in your daily rhythm. Chapter 9. The version of you that already has it. There is a version of you, already whole, already chosen, already thriving, living in the unseen folds of the quantum field, a self, not striving toward the future but broadcasting from it. This self does not need to become because it already is. And manifestation is not about trying to get to that version. It is about becoming it now. So many chase desires like they're somewhere else, as if the life they want is down a distant road. But the quantum law doesn't work that way. Reality bends not by time, but by frequency. You do not attract your desires by seeking them. You attract them by being the version of yourself who already has them. This is the hidden key of quantum manifestation. You must embody the end. You must speak, walk, and move as if the wish is fulfilled. Not as fantasy, but as fact. Not as hope, but as identity. Because energy doesn't respond to wanting. It responds to being. Let's say you desire to be wealthy. Not someday, but now. Most say, I want wealth so I can feel free. But the quantum says, feel free and wealth must come. Can you embody the essence of freedom? Walk with the energy of abundance before the money arrives? That is the test. That is the portal. This is not play acting. This is frequency calibration. When you shift your self-concept, you shift the timeline. The quantum field mirrors not what you wish for, but what you believe yourself to be. That is why two people can walk into the same room and the world treats them differently, not because of luck, but because of signal. One broadcasts unworthiness and is overlooked. The other emits certainty and is magnetized. The world simply reflects what you carry. Here's a story. A woman named Leora always longed to be an author. She wrote in secret, told no one, and submitted her manuscripts under a pen name. Rejected for years, she eventually gave up, until she came across this principle. She began a strange new practice. Each morning, she would sit at her desk and say aloud, I am a best-selling author. She imagined the feel of her book in her hands. She signed imaginary copies. She even dressed the part when she wrote. Not for show, but for frequency. Nothing happened for months. But Leora kept showing up, not to force, but to become. Then, one day, a well-known influencer stumbled upon her self-published novel online. They shared it. It went viral. A publisher called. Her book deal came not by grinding, but by identity alignment. She didn't get lucky. She became the version of herself that already had it, and the world finally agreed. This is not about delusion. This is about resonance. The moment you fully become the version of you who already has the desire, you collapse the waiting. The field adjusts. People feel something in you that wasn't there before. Circumstances organize themselves not to make you ready, but because you are already being the one who belongs there. Think of it like this: the future version of you, the one who has the house, the love, the peace, is not in the future. They exist now as a possibility in the quantum field, and they are sending a signal backwards in time, calling you forward. The closer you match their frequency, the faster the worlds merge. You don't have to become that version. You must be them now. Walk like them. Think like them. Speak like them. Not one day, today. Here is the paradox. You cannot create a new reality from the vibration of not having. The very act of seeking implies absence. But embodiment declares, "It is already done." That declaration rewrites timelines. So, ask yourself, not, "How do I get there?" but, "Who am I being now?" What version of you are you dressing up as each morning? The version who hopes it might happen, or the one who knows it already has? This is not about pretending. It's about remembering. Remembering that reality is responding to the version of you you embody, not the version you wish for. The future is not a destination, it's a vibration. And you are the dial. There is immense power in subtle shifts. The person who feels, "I'm not enough yet," makes very different choices than the one who feels, "I am already it." The first hesitates. The second walks into rooms differently. Energy moves before results do. And when you embody the identity before the evidence begins to show up. So the invitation is this: stop waiting for proof. Start being the proof. Stop waiting for life to give you permission. Begin acting as the self who needs no permission. Want love? Be the version of you who already knows they are loved. Want wealth? Be the self who already trusts money flows. Want freedom? Move like you're free. Not someday, now. Even in small ways. This is not arrogance, it's alignment. The universe is not offended by your confidence, it is activated by it. You are not faking it. You are revealing what has always been true. You are the cause, not the consequence. This is the essence of quantum manifestation. The end is not something you reach, it is something you become. Sacred practice. Walk the timeline. Today, choose one desire you hold in your heart. Close your eyes and picture the version of you who already has it. How do they dress? How do they breathe? What thoughts fill their mind? Write down their traits. Then, for the rest of the day, embody just one of them. A posture, a decision, a tone of voice. Let the world meet the new version of you, the one who already is, the one the universe has been waiting for. Chapter 10: The Power of Surrender and the Art of Receiving. There comes a moment in every creator's journey where the mind exhausts itself, where effort, strategy, and force reach their limit, and a new door appears. It is not a door you can kick down. It's not one you can find with logic. It's a door that only opens when you stop trying to pry it. This is the threshold of surrender, and on the other side lies the mysterious art of receiving. In the quantum realm, surrender is not giving up. It is tuning in. It's not letting go of your desire. It's letting go of your need to control how and when it arrives. The field does not reward desperation. It responds to trust. It responds to faith so quiet it does not need evidence. The more you grip your desire, the more it slips through your fingers. But the moment you release your demand and open your palm, life has space to place something in it. Most people confuse manifesting with micromanaging. They try to script every detail, orchestrate every scene, plan every outcome. But manifestation is not choreography, it is communion. You do not need to dictate the steps. You need only dance with the rhythm of your soul and trust the music of the universe. There was once a man named Elias who tried to build a business for 7 years. He studied every marketing strategy, chased every trend, and burned himself out chasing results. And nothing worked. Not because he was lazy or untalented, but because he never let go. Then, in the stillness of his deepest frustration, he did something radical. He walked into the forest, sat under a tree, and said aloud, "I'm tired of forcing. Show me a better way." He began to meditate daily, not to manifest anything, but to become quiet enough to listen. And in that quiet, an idea came, not flashy, not dramatic, but clear. He created something small, from his heart, with no attachment to how it would be received. Within a month, it went viral. Opportunities he once chased now chased him. Why? Because he had moved out of control and into coherence. He had shifted from make it happen to allow it in, and the field responded, not to effort, but to surrendered alignment. Here's the paradox. You are the creator of your reality, but you are not the sole architect of the how. The moment you try to control every variable, you become the bottleneck. The mind cannot see all pathways, but the quantum can. What you call delay is often just interference. The more you cling, the more noise you create. But in surrender, you clear the static, and the signal can reach you. Think of your desire as a radio station. It is broadcasting now. But if you keep twisting the dial in panic, you'll never hear it clearly. Surrender is not passive, it's attunement. You don't stop moving. You stop struggling. You don't stop choosing. You stop chasing. You take inspired action, not frantic motion. This is the difference between creation and coercion. Creation says, "I know it's done." Coercion says, "Why isn't it here yet?" The first is rooted in trust, the second in lack. And energy never lies. Surrender is not laziness. It is the deepest act of courage. It says, "I release my need to prove, to control, to fix. I now allow life to meet me where I already am." And in that allowing, you become magnetic. You become open. You become the space through which the impossible arrives. Receiving is not a reward, it is a skill. Most are brilliant at asking, visualizing, affirming, but when life shows up to deliver, they flinch, they doubt. They close the door out of habit, thinking, "Is it too soon? Did I really earn this?" But the quantum does not deliver based on worthiness. It delivers based on willingness. Can you hold the vibration long enough to let it land? There is a deeper layer of surrender that goes beyond receiving outcomes. It is surrender to divine timing. To trust that your desire is not late, that it is not lost, that it is becoming, and that you are becoming the one who can hold it, not just get it. This is when your desire matures from fantasy into form, not because you fought for it, but because you flowed with it. There was a woman named Amira who dreamed of deep love for decades. She wrote letters to her future partner, visualized, scripted, everything. But relationships kept breaking. Until she stopped needing someone to fill the space. She focused instead on becoming the love she sought. She surrendered the timeline. She surrendered the story that she was incomplete, and she began to overflow. That's when he came, not to complete her, but to meet her in her wholeness. That is the reward of surrender, not just the manifestation, but the transformation. So, now ask yourself, where are you gripping? Where are you trying to force what wants to flow? What if you released the timeline, dropped the plan, and asked life to surprise you? What if you trusted that the unseen was already working in your favor? This is the sacred irony. When you stop trying so hard, things come with ease. Not because you stopped caring, but because you finally trusted enough to receive. Sacred practice, the surrender statement. Take a quiet moment today. Place your hand over your heart. Breathe in deeply. Then speak aloud. I surrender the how. I release the when. I trust that what is mine is already on its way. I no longer chase. I choose. I no longer doubt. I allow. I am ready to receive. Then go about your day, not trying to make it happen, but watching for how life delivers. Let your stillness become the magnet. Let your surrender become the song the universe cannot resist answering. Chapter 11. Become the version who already has it. There is a silence more powerful than any roar, a presence that does not need to prove, a stillness that knows. And within that silence, the quantum responds, not to desperation, not to wanting, but to being. Manifestation does not happen when you try to get the thing. It happens when you remember that you are the one who already has it, not in ego, but in energetic truth. The quantum field does not respond to your wishes. It reflects your identity. You cannot lie to it. You cannot pretend. You cannot fake your frequency. The moment you say, I want, you create the vibration of not having. But the moment you say, I am, and feel it as done, reality begins to rearrange itself in your favor. You don't manifest what you think. You manifest who you are being. In the stillness between your thoughts. Let's imagine two people walking into the same room. One walks in with the vibration of lack, thinking, I hope they like me. I need to impress. I'm not enough unless I'm approved. The other walks in thinking, I belong here. I don't need to convince. I simply am. Without saying a word, the energy is felt. One repels, the other attracts. Why? Because identity precedes outcome. Frequency precedes form. There was a man named Raphael who dreamed of becoming a global speaker. But no matter how many videos he posted, nobody listened. No invitations came. Until one day, he realized his energy still whispered, I'm an imposter. He hadn't become the speaker. He was still trying to be one. So he did something radical. He stopped focusing on the external and went inward. Every morning, he stood before the mirror and became the man who had already made it. He spoke aloud, dressed the part, walked with presence, not to fake it, but to become it. He no longer chased stages. He embodied the man who was already trusted, already known, already respected. Within months, the calls started coming. Not because he learned new tactics, but because he became someone new. The quantum recognized him, not as the man trying, but as the man aligned, and reality bowed to that alignment. Who you believe you are is the foundation of everything. You can chant affirmations for hours, but if deep down your identity says, I'm not worthy, then the field reflects that story. The subconscious is the soil. Your self-concept is the seed. If you plant a rose but believe it's a weed, you'll never water it. You'll sabotage its bloom. So, we must ask not, how do I get more money? But, who is the version of me that money flows to? Not, how do I find love? But, who is the me that is already loved, already safe, already chosen? The question of quantum manifestation is always this: what frequency do I need to become? The answer is rarely in the doing, it is in the being. Imagine you were cast in a play and your role was a king or queen. Would you walk like a beggar? Would you speak like someone unsure? Of course not. You'd study the posture. You'd speak with certainty. You'd carry the energy of royalty. And eventually, you'd become it. Not as performance, but as integration. This is not acting. This is aligning. In the quantum, every version of you already exists. There is a version who is confident, a version who is abundant, a version who is deeply loved and wildly fulfilled. They are not far away. They are vibrating now, in parallel dimensions, waiting for you to match them. You do not need to create them. You only need to tune into them. And the way you do that is by being them now. This doesn't mean lying to yourself or pretending life is perfect. It means anchoring in a new identity, one breath at a time. It means asking each morning, how would the abundant me think, speak, walk, decide? And then embodying that, not because you're forcing, but because you're remembering. It means blessing your current reality, not because it's perfect, but because the version of you who has already arrived is grateful. It means speaking as if it's already done, not to manipulate, but to align. Every decision becomes a declaration of identity. Every thought is a thread in the fabric of your future. And the more you choose that version, the more the world begins to mirror it. Not instantly, but inevitably. Identity becomes destiny when repeated in energy. There was once a woman named Clara who had always lived paycheck to paycheck. She believed she came from lack, that she was destined for struggle. But something within her cracked open when she heard this truth. You are not here to change your life. You are here to change who you are in life. That night, she wrote a letter. Not to the universe, but from her future self. It read, I am abundance. I make decisions with ease. Money is my companion, not my captor. She read it every morning and night. She walked as her future self. She breathed as her future self. And within 1 year, her income tripled, not from struggle, but from identity. What shifted wasn't just her bank account, it was her concept of self. She was no longer a woman who wanted abundance. She was abundance in motion. That is the power of identity. That is the truth the quantum cannot ignore. Sacred practice. Future self-embodiment. Each morning before the world touches you, close your eyes and ask, what would the version of me who already has it do today? Listen, then stand up, walk differently, speak differently. Dress as they would, decide as they would, not to perform, but to align. Let the outer world catch up to the inner truth. You are not becoming someone new. You are remembering someone eternal. Chapter 12. The Collapse of Time. Living in the Already Done. What if I told you that time is not linear but elastic? That the ticking of clocks is only a measure for the human mind, not for the infinite intelligence that breathes stars into being. In the quantum field, time does not proceed from past to present to future like pearls on a string. It spirals, folds, collapses, and every potential reality, every dream, every destiny you've ever imagined already exists right now, suspended in a timeless now, waiting for you to align with it. You are not moving toward your manifestation. You are circling back to the version of you that already has it. You are not calling your dream to you. It is calling you to it. And the only thing that bridges the gap is your frequency. Time does not delay desire. Your alignment, or lack of it, does. The quantum field responds not to your calendar, but to your conviction. Let's begin by unlearning what we've been taught, that we must wait, that things take time, that we are always in a process of becoming. No. In the quantum, becoming is remembering. Receiving is allowing. And the moment you enter the vibration of "it is done," time folds, and what was far becomes near. Do you see how radical this is? It means you don't have to earn your desires. You only have to embody them. The future does not live ahead of you. It lives inside of you. It is not created through hustle, but through harmony. And when you shift into the consciousness of already having, you bypass time altogether. I once met a woman named Amara who had been trying to conceive a child for nearly a decade. She had tried every treatment, visited every doctor, prayed, begged, pleaded. One day, in the stillness of a deep meditation, she heard a voice within her say, "Stop trying to become a mother. Be her." And so, she began to live differently. She no longer woke up in desperation. She decorated a room for her child, spoke to her belly with love, cooked meals as if nourishing life already within her. She held a vibration not of hope, but of fulfillment. And within months, without intervention or explanation, she was pregnant. This is not magic. This is quantum law. She collapsed time by stepping into the already done. The linear mind will resist this teaching. It will say, "But where is the evidence? Where is the progress? Where is the proof?" But the soul knows. Energy is the only proof you need. When you know something is done, you stop checking for signs. You walk differently. You think differently. You decide differently. You don't try to manifest love. You set the table for two. You don't chase abundance. You walk in generosity. And it is that beingness, not the words, not the vision board, not the rituals, that bends time in your favor. There was once a man who lived in a small village at the foot of a mountain. Every day he dreamt of reaching the summit, where he believed the gods would grant his wish. But each time he tried, he turned back halfway, discouraged by the steep path and the slow progress. One night, in a dream, a luminous being appeared and said, "You are climbing the wrong mountain. The wish is not at the peak, it is at your feet." He awoke, confused, until he looked down and realized the terrain beneath him was already sacred. The journey was not to reach something outside himself, but to awaken what was already within. From that day on, he stopped climbing and started being. And everything he had sought began to flow into his life, not by effort, but by essence. That is what collapsing time feels like. It is the moment you stop searching for your future self and start acting from their energy. Not someday, not when things improve, now. Because the truth is, manifestation is not about getting, it is about allowing. The only thing that delays your desire is your belief that it's not yet yours. The only thing that accelerates it is your decision to feel as if it already is. Time is not your enemy, it is your servant. It rushes to meet the one who lives in the vibration of certainty. So how do you collapse time? You practice feeling the state of the wish fulfilled, not imagining it far away, but embodying it as close as your breath. You walk through your day with inner conviction, not outer validation. You speak not to convince others, but to reinforce your own knowing. You live not as the version waiting, but as the one who has already received. And with each repetition, your frequency strengthens. The field responds, doors open, coincidences align, and what once seemed years away becomes the next moment. You've seen this already in your life. Think of the time something arrived faster than expected, an opportunity, a relationship, a moment of clarity. Why? Because you were not focused on the waiting. You were aligned with the having. You were not trying to make it happen. You were simply being the one it happens to. This is not wishful thinking. This is quantum embodiment. Time is a frequency. So is desire. When you match them, time collapses. When you doubt, time expands. This is why desperation delays. It vibrates in the frequency of not yet. But gratitude, joy, ease, these are the energies of already done. And when you rest in them, time has no choice but to obey. You are not bound by clocks. You are not subject to delays. You are not stuck in the process. You are the creator of time as much as you are the creator of reality. You do not need to know how or when. You only need to know who. Who are you being today? Are you the one who hopes it comes someday? Or are you the one who knows it is already yours? Collapse time. Live from the end. Speak from fulfillment. Move from knowing. And the universe, timeless and attentive, will move mountains to meet you. Sacred practice. Time collapse activation. Tonight, before you sleep, close your eyes and ask yourself, what if it were already done? Feel the sensation of the wish fulfilled. Let your breath slow. Let your shoulders relax. Now ask, how would I feel if this were real right now? Let that emotion wash over you. Linger in it. Memorize it. And tomorrow, live from it. One decision at a time. One step at a time. Time is only the illusion that you're not there yet. Collapse it. Be there now. Chapter 13. The Mirror Principle. Reality reflects your identity. Everything you see around you is not separate from you. The world is not happening to you. It is happening through you and ultimately as you. There is a sacred truth embedded into the fabric of this universe, and once you understand it, everything begins to move with grace. Life is a mirror, and it reflects not what you want, but what you are. The house you live in, the relationships you attract, the money you hold, the moments you relive over and over again, they are all a reflection of your dominant self-concept, your most consistent assumptions about who you are and what you deserve. This truth is not metaphorical, it is quantum, it is law. And the moment you awaken to it, you stop trying to fix the reflection and start transforming the source, you. Close your eyes and imagine standing before a mirror. You do not try to brush the hair in the reflection. You do not beg the image to smile. You do not scream at the glass, hoping it will change. You know that if you want to see something different in the mirror, you must first shift yourself. And yet, how often do we forget this in our lives? How often do we look at the reflection, the circumstances, the people, the conditions, and complain, react, resist, without ever turning inward to ask, what within me is being revealed here? What belief is being mirrored back to me? You see, the universe is not judging you. It is simply responding to you. It listens not to your pleas, but to your energy. It does not obey your words. It obeys your state. There was a man named Elias who lived in a small town where everything seemed to go wrong. His business failed, his friends turned away, his health declined. One evening, in desperation, he asked the stars, "Why is the world so against me?" That night he had a dream. In it he stood in front of a great lake, smooth as glass. He screamed at it, wept before it, threw stones into it, trying to change its surface. But the more he fought the reflection, the more distorted it became. Then a voice whispered from within, "The water is only showing you yourself. Be still and see clearly." He awoke with tears, not of sorrow, but of knowing. From that day on, Elias stopped reacting to the world and started observing himself. He shifted his beliefs. He spoke kindly to himself. He forgave his past, and slowly, the mirror began to change. His business rebounded. New friends arrived. His health returned, not because the world changed, but because he did. This is the mirror principle in motion. Your reality is a delayed echo of your inner narrative. If you want more love, become more loving. If you want more wealth, embody the version of you who is already abundant. If you want respect, start treating yourself with reverence. You cannot command the reflection to smile if you are frowning. You cannot demand from life what you are not first willing to give yourself. This is not punishment. It is precision. The quantum field mirrors your essence. But this is where it gets even deeper. The mirror of reality has no delay once your assumption is sustained. It can respond with lightning speed. Why? Because identity is the true command to the universe. And when you decide, fully, finally, unwaveringly, that this is who I am now, the world reorganizes itself to match it. You've seen this. A person decides they are no longer available for toxic relationships, and suddenly, the same people no longer call. Another decides they are worthy of success, and within weeks, opportunities arise they never imagined. This is not coincidence. It is the mirror responding to identity. The mistake most people make is trying to change their lives while still carrying the same assumptions. They try to manifest love while assuming they're unlovable. They visualize abundance while believing they're not enough. This is like painting over a cracked wall without fixing the foundation. It will never hold. The universe cannot outperform your self-concept. It can only reflect it. And the beautiful truth is, you can choose a new concept at any moment. You are not your past. You are not your trauma. You are not your failures. You are only ever what you assume you are. And assumption is a choice. There is a woman I once guided named Sophia. For years, she believed she was unlucky in love. "I'm always abandoned," she would say. And sure enough, each relationship ended in the same pattern. One day, I asked her, "What if the world is simply proving you right? What if your belief is the script and life is the actor performing it?" That night, something shifted. She decided to assume a new role, not the abandoned, but the adored. She wrote it on her mirror. "I am deeply loved. I am cherished. I am safe." At first, it felt like a lie. But she persisted. She lived as if it were true. She walked with softness. She spoke with self-honor. And within months, she met a partner who reflected back the very love she had begun to give herself. She did not force the mirror to change. She changed, and the mirror obeyed. This chapter is not just a teaching, it is a call to rise. If you want to know what you truly believe about yourself, look around. Your life is not random. It is a perfect feedback loop. And the greatest power you have is not to control the outer, but to master the inner. When you begin speaking to yourself like the person you wish to become, when you begin treating yourself like royalty, when you start walking in the energy of already worthy, already chosen, already enough, the mirror cannot help but reflect it. Not because the world is kind, not because you are lucky, but because that is the law. You are not separate from the life you're creating. You are its origin point. Every moment, the quantum mirror reflects back the frequency you hold. So ask yourself, not what do I want? But who am I being? Because the answer to that question is the answer to why your reality looks the way it does. And the moment you choose a new answer, a new reflection begins to form. Sacred practice. Mirror identity reset. Stand before a real mirror today, not to criticize, but to reclaim. Look into your eyes and speak to the self you are becoming. Say aloud, I am the embodiment of my highest truth. I am the source of love, of power, of abundance. I no longer wait for the world to change. I am the change. Repeat it until your voice becomes steady, until the old identity loosens its grip, until the reflection begins to shimmer with new energy. Then walk away, not hoping for change, but being it. Chapter 14. The Authority Frequency. Speak and it must be so. There comes a moment in every awakened soul's journey when they stop pleading with the universe and begin speaking with sacred certainty. Not from ego, not from desperation, but from divine remembrance. A moment when the seeker realizes they were never a beggar of fate, but the author of frequency, never a victim of chance, but the voice through which reality is shaped. This chapter is that turning point. It is the moment you stand upright within yourself, with shoulders relaxed and spine like lightning, and you whisper, not to the world, but to the infinite within, let there be, and so it is. This is the authority frequency. The state of being where manifestation flows not from effort, but from embodiment, where your assumption is law, where your declaration becomes creation. Not tomorrow, not with conditions, but in the eternal now. The universe has always obeyed this frequency, because this frequency is the voice of the source within you. When you speak from the place of already, when you think from the feeling of fulfillment, when you move from the knowing that it is done, the world bends. Not because you're manipulating matter, but because you're aligning with the truth that consciousness creates. The truth that assumption impresses the subconscious, and the subconscious commands reality. The truth that every I am you utter is a prophecy in motion. Do you not feel it? The power humming beneath your breath? The electric stillness between your thoughts? This is not a game. This is a sacred technology. And when you speak from the authority frequency, the quantum field rearranges instantly to mirror your identity. There was a woman named Leora, born into poverty, surrounded by limitation. Every voice she heard growing up told her what she could not be. People like us don't rise, they said. Dream small, they warned. For years she accepted it, until one day, standing in the silence of a dimly lit kitchen, she felt something ancient stir within her. She looked at her reflection in the cracked window and said aloud, I am done living small. I am wealth, I am power, I am chosen. The words came like thunder from a sky that had long forgotten how to storm. In that moment, she wasn't hoping. She was deciding. She wasn't affirming. She was announcing. And something happened that night. Not outside her, but within. She could no longer see herself as unworthy. She walked differently. She answered the phone differently. She applied for jobs she once thought were out of reach. Within months, doors opened. Her income doubled. She bought her mother a home. But none of that mattered compared to the real shift. She remembered who she was, and once remembered, she could never return to who she pretended to be. You see, the authority frequency is not about shouting affirmations. It is about being the energy behind them. It is the difference between saying, I am abundant, and knowing you are the source from which all abundance flows. It is the quiet power behind a calm voice. The resonance of a truth so deep, reality dares not contradict it. When you speak from this place, the quantum field does not hesitate. It moves, it obeys, because it is you. You are not speaking to something outside you. You are speaking to your own reflection in the field of infinite potential, and that reflection takes shape according to your dominant identity. The mind may resist this at first. It may say, "But look at my bank account," or, "But I'm still alone." That is merely the echo of the old identity, the shadow of the previous assumption. Do not argue with it. Do not try to convince it. Simply choose again. Stand in the I am. Speak your truth as law. Not because you are trying to get something, but because you are no longer willing to deny your own power. And that power does not need time. It needs only decision. In the ancient texts, there's a phrase repeated often: "Let the weak say, I am strong." Not after they become strong, not when their body confirms it, but now, in the midst of perceived weakness. Why? Because the spoken word from the authority of belief becomes flesh. That's the hidden mystery. You don't speak what's true because of what you see. You see what's true because of what you speak. When you say, "I am loved," and feel it, even in the silence of loneliness, the field shifts to reflect it. When you say, "I am success," and walk as if it were already done, the opportunities appear. You are not waiting for evidence. You are becoming the evidence. And yes, at first, your mind will call this delusion. But remember, all breakthroughs begin with a decision that defies the senses. All quantum leaps happen in the unseen before they are visible. It is not your job to know the how. It is your role to claim the what, and let the infinite intelligence handle the rest. Speak as the one who knows. Walk as the one who already has. Think as the one who cannot be denied, not because you're faking it, but because you're returning to the source code of your being, and the code is, "As I assume, so shall it be." Now is the moment to stop explaining your limitations and start expressing your divinity. Speak what you wish to see, and see what you've spoken, but speak only from the vibration of already, not to impress others, not to test the universe, but because you've remembered, your word is the seed, and the field is always listening. Sacred practice. Declare from the throne. Find a quiet space. Place your hand over your heart. Close your eyes. Now speak aloud a declaration of your new identity. Let it begin with, "I am," and let it feel like truth. Say, "I am the voice of abundance. I am the frequency of love. I am the embodiment of divine power." Breathe. Say it again and again, until your voice aligns with your essence, until the air around you bends to listen, until you feel the shift. Then walk out into the world, not waiting for proof, but living as the proof. Chapter 15. Collapse the timeline. Live as if it already is. There is a sacred secret known only to those who no longer wait. A truth whispered not in words, but in how you carry yourself, how you breathe, how you choose. It is the hidden door to quantum acceleration, the gateway through which miracles become norms and timelines fold into a single point of power. Now, the final chapter of this journey is not about striving. It is about collapsing the gap between what you desire and what you are. It is the art of living as if. Not pretending, not hoping, but knowing, assuming, embodying the version of you that already has it, already is it, already lives it. The moment you collapse the timeline by assuming the end, the middle arranges itself in impossible, miraculous, irrational ways. This is not spiritual theory. This is law. When you desire something and then behave, think, feel, and move as if you are still in the state of lack. You stretch the timeline. You tell the universe through your vibration, "I am not yet that." And the field, being precise and literal, confirms your instruction by continuing to keep your desire out of reach. But when you collapse that gap, when you think from the desire fulfilled, when you dress, speak, and breathe from the state of already, time folds inward. You collapse the unnecessary delays. You erase the space between cause and effect. You become the cause, and life becomes the echo. And in that sacred folding of time, manifestation becomes instantaneous, or so close to it, the delay feels irrelevant. Let me share with you the story of a man named Elias. He had long dreamed of owning his own healing studio, a space where music, frequency, and light merged to awaken souls. For years he journaled, affirmed, and visualized. But still, the studio remained a distant dream, something someday might bring. Until one evening, sitting on the floor of his small apartment, Elias asked himself, "What if I stopped dreaming and started dwelling? What if I stopped seeing the studio as my future and started living from it as my present?" That night, he walked differently. He set an empty chair at the table and pretended a client had just finished a healing session. He thanked them out loud. He poured 2 glasses of water and placed one where they'd sat. He started designing logos, printing sample brochures, even creating invoices addressed to imaginary names. And something happened, not in the outer world first, but inside him. His energy recalibrated. His vibration aligned. He collapsed the timeline. Within 2 months, he was gifted a space to start his studio rent-free for a trial period. Within 6 months, he had paying clients. Within a year, he was fully booked with a waiting list. When asked what changed, Elias didn't say marketing. He said, "I stopped waiting and became it." This is the frequency of Chapter 15. The frequency of finality, not in the sense of ending, but in the sense of completion, of living from the end, of moving as if there's nothing more to become, only to reveal. You see, the version of you who already has the life you desire is not in the future. It is encoded in your now. And the moment you choose to live from their eyes, walk in their breath, and move from their peace, the quantum field reorganizes to match your new timeline. You are not attracting that future. You are embodying it, and embodiment collapses waiting. You collapse the timeline when you no longer look for signs, but become the sign, when you no longer ask, "Where is it?" but declare, "It is done." You collapse the timeline when you no longer negotiate with your doubt, but sit upon the throne of assumption and say, "This is who I am. I remember now." The sacred technology of the quantum field responds to certainty, not need. It responds to resonance, not repetition. And resonance lives in the body, not the mind. It is felt, not forced. So if your mind resists, smile at it. Thank it for its service, and then return to the body, the breath, the now, and from that place, assume again. The truth is, you are always living from some timeline. The only question is it the one you've chosen, or the one you've been unconsciously repeating? Quantum manifestation demands consciousness. It requires you to pause, breathe, and select your identity with precision, because what you are being is always broadcasting. What you believe is already echoing. The field cannot help but reflect you. That's the sacred agreement. So let today be the day you stop looking ahead and start looking within. Let it be the day you fold the map and stand in your destination. Let it be the day you act from the frequency of the one who has already arrived. This is not pretending. This is spiritual maturity. It is the humility to know that the infinite is already yours, and the boldness to claim it now. Sacred practice, the arrival embodiment. Close your eyes. Inhale slowly and deeply. Imagine the version of you who has already received your greatest desire. How do they breathe? How do they enter a room? What do they believe about themselves? Feel them not as someone else, but as who you already are beneath the old story. Now stand up, walk across the room, not as yourself, but as them. Let your posture shift. Let your gaze lift. Let your energy soften and expand. Then speak aloud. I am already here. I collapse the timeline. I walk in the fulfillment. Let that become your walk, your voice, your essence. And watch time bend to your assumption. Conclusion: the quantum you has always been. And now, dear soul, you have arrived, not at an end, but at a beginning that has no past, no future, only infinite now. This journey through the quantum, through self, through unseen realms and remembered truths, has not given you anything new. It has stripped away the illusion that you ever lacked. It has peeled back the veil that kept you walking in circles through old identities and whispered gently, "You were never small. You were always the field." Every chapter was not a lesson to be learned, but a mirror reflecting the self that always knew. And now, as we close this book, we do not close the power. We release it into your breath, into your choices, into your next moment of awareness. Quantum manifestation is not magic, it is law. It is not reserved for the elite or the awakened. It is encoded in you, in the way your thoughts ripple out into form, in the way your assumptions reorder time, in the way your being becomes the blueprint that matter copies. You do not have to work for it. You simply have to return to the one who never left, the you beyond effort. The you that speaks worlds into being not by force, but by frequency. So take a moment. Inhale, exhale. And remember, every time you think with clarity, feel with conviction, speak with certainty, and walk with embodiment, you are shifting particles, bending time, and sculpting reality from the inside out. This is not theory. This is your nature. You are not a student of quantum law. You are its embodiment. Let your life now be the continuation of this book. Let your next breath carry the truth of who you are. Let every room you enter shift, not because of what you do, but because of what you radiate. Let your desires no longer be wishes, but arrivals. Let your thoughts no longer be passive, but prophecies. And let your journey from this page forward be lived with one sacred knowing: you are the frequency, the field, and the fulfillment. If this book awakens something ancient within you, share it, speak it, teach it, embody it. The world needs more creators who walk as the manifestation itself. And if your heart calls for more journeys like this, come find us again. The field is listening, and your next quantum shift has already begun.